Hello, this is Peter and Sul with another video. In this video I'm just going to do a quick overview of some of the new banana plants that I've got over the last year or two. So first of all I'm going to start with the Dwarf Cavendish, which is this one here. I originally got 3 of them. They were 3 small tissue culture plants. The other 2 didn't make it. I don't know exactly what happened. I probably overwatered them over winter when they don't grow as much. And this one wasn't looking too well until maybe about a month or 2 ago. Started coming back to life, and I moved it a bit closer to the grow light. So that's one thing I'll show you in a second. It's got 2 lights on this grow light, and you can move them around. I'll put a link to this in the description if anyone's interested. It's not the brightest. I can't remember exactly what it is. I'll insert it on the screen, the specification of it. It's not an ideal light for growing bananas indoors. You'd want a much bigger grow light than this, really. But it was the only one I could get for this base at the moment. I'm going to see if I can get something better soon. But yeah, for now it's doing the job, because I'm only keeping these plants here temporarily until I can put them outside in the gardening pots. Well, some of them I will be able to, some I won't. In this tiny pot here is another Dwarf Cavendish. It was a pup from this plant. I separated it off. It was a bit small, really, to be separated. Really, you'd want to get them a bit bigger, but because I was worried about losing the plant, I decided to take it off a couple of weeks ago. It's already grown 2 new leaves since I put it in this pot on its own, so that's good. So next I have 2 Musa Sikkimensis seedlings. Those of you that followed my channel from the beginning will remember that I grew some Musa Sikkimensis from seed. I think it was back in 2012. Both of those plants didn't make it. The last one died probably over winter. I think it was maybe the beginning of winter. It wasn't doing very well. It needed a bigger pot, and also I think it got a bit of an infestation of scale insects, and I didn't keep on top of it. So I managed to get some more seeds. Well, this time they were pre-sprouted seeds. I was lucky enough to find an eBay seller that had already sprouted them, so they came with just a tiny little bit of the sprout already germinated, but only 2 of those seeds made it. The rest ended up dying. I think that they probably got some damping off issue. Some fungus that probably attacked the roots. That's my guess anyway. So I've transplanted these 2 into slightly larger containers. This one at the back, I don't know if you can just about see, there's a new leaf starting to come out, so I know it is growing now, even though it hasn't been growing as fast as this one. So my aim this time with the Musa Sikkimensis is to put them in pots outside. In the past I've been sort of worried about losing them, so I never put them outside, but I think Sikkimensis at least should be able to do okay even in our cool summers. It never gets too cold, even in winter. You could probably keep them alive if you protect them a little bit in the ground. You might be able to keep them going for the next year, but that's something I need to try. So over on this side I have 2 Dwarf Brazilian bananas. These again I bought these as tissue culture plants. They were probably maybe similar size to this Sikkimensis in the back when I first, maybe a little bit smaller. when I first got it, and they've been growing here under this grow light since I got them. So they have been growing quite slowly because they've been growing under this quite a small artificial light. But I'm going to at least trial one of these outside in a pot on the decking in the garden this maybe late spring. It's probably a little bit early yet because these will definitely not like the cooler nights that we still get. It's above freezing now, but it's still quite cold. It gets down to maybe 5-6 degrees at night, sometimes a little lower. So it's still a bit too cold to put any bananas outside yet. This largest one here is a Musa Velututina, but it's a subspecies. It's a relatively newly discovered one apparently, called Markkuana. I'll put the spelling on the screen because I've probably butchered it. It's supposed to grow slightly taller than the normal Musa Velutina, and the fruit's supposed to be not hairy like the normal Velutina. So it'll be interesting if I can ever get that to flower. The smaller plant at the side is a Musa Balbisiana seedling, supposedly. So we'll see how that gets on. So that's those of you that know the history of bananas. Most of the edible varieties come from crosses between Musa cuminata and Musa Balbisiana. So this is supposed to be a wild Balbisiana seedling. I don't know whether I'll be able to grow that out in the garden this summer or not. It'll depend how warm it is. I can give it a go, but I don't want to risk losing it, so I might just keep that inside. This here is my Musa Dwarf Orinoco banana. This plant I've had growing inside for quite a while as well. I've not risked growing it outside yet. I kind of wanted backup like pups from it before I risked planting it in the ground, but I think this year I'm just going to risk. Well, first of all, it's already started. I've already started hardening it off. Had it outside today, and I'm going to keep putting it out during the day, as we've had some quite nice weather recently. It's been in the sort of high teens, low 20s Celsius the last few days, and the last couple of weeks it's been quite sunny. So I'm going to keep putting it out because it looks like that weather's going to continue. I'm going to be high teens and low 20s in the during the day, and lots of sun. So it should, especially at the back of the garden, it gets very warm on that decking. So I'm hoping I can get this to harden off outside, and then eventually I might try planting it in the ground, at least during summer, and then dig it up or try to protect it somehow over winter. For those that don't know the edible varieties of bananas, this is supposedly one of the cold hardiest that you can grow. Summers are probably too cool to ever get fruit, and also it's not long enough before it starts getting cold again in autumn to ever mature any fruit, if it was to ever flower. But it's worth giving it a go, I think. And also I want to get it to a size where it'll start producing pups, so I can get backup plants from it. So as you can see, I've run out of space in here. I've even propped the Dwarf Orinoco on top of this Super Dwarf Cavendish here. So for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you remember that I had a Super Dwarf Cavendish banana. So this is actually one of the offspring of that plant. So I've had spider mites, scale, and all sorts that I've been dealing with in the last year or so. Yeah, this Super Dwarf Cavendish, it doesn't seem to do particularly well. It grows okay for a little while. It gets to a certain height, puts out quite a few pups, and then the main plant seems to die off. I've had that quite a few times now, and then the pup takes over. I was also getting a bit annoyed with how messy it was looking. So last weekend I cleaned up the plant. I took out all the pups. I also replaced all the soil last week with more moisture retentive soil. This was one of the largest pups. It was on its own. It's sort of, the plants are sort of separated into separate clumps of corm. So I removed some of them those different parts of it, and I planted the main one, this largest one here, on its own in the pot with new soil. Because I didn't want the pups to go to waste, I planted 2 of them into this small container here as well. I'm just gonna wait until they get a bit bigger and then I'll pot them on their own. I also have another Super Dwarf Cavendish pup that I took off probably about a year ago, and I took it to my work's office and I grew it in the office for a while, but because of the current lockdown situation I ended up bringing that plant home with me because I've been working from home. It seems to be liking it downstairs. It doesn't get as warm down there as it does up here. So here is the other Super Dwarf Cavendish banana. This is the one that I was growing at the office at work, and then I had to bring it home during the lockdown. You can see it's got quite small leaves because I guess it needs more light. These bananas tend to grow the leaves quite small when they're not getting enough light. But I think this corner of the window definitely gets the most sunlight, so it has been putting out some new leaves recently, so I think it is getting used to this new place here. And here is a Musa Basjoo, and this has only ever been grown indoors. I might have brought it outside last year once or twice, but mostly it's been indoors. It was taller than this before. It got a bit damaged, so I had to chop it off where it got bent, and it's grown back in the last 6 months or so. So it's doing a lot better now. You see, it's just put out a new leaf. It's getting bigger and bigger, these leaves, every time it puts one out. I think for now this one's going to stay indoors, but I have another one that I'll show you after, which isn't as big as this, but that one's going to be growing outside this year. This also needs a bigger pot actually. It's already, the corm is actually pushed out of the pot, so it does need to be transplanted into a bigger container. This is the other Musa Basjoo plant. This one's been growing outside in the day. It's been quite warm in the last 2 weeks, so I've been putting it outside on the decking. This one I'm going to plant into the ground this year, hopefully. Again, you can see the quite small leaves on it. Hopefully once it gets transplanted into a bigger pot and it gets used to being grown outside, it'll grow some larger leaves. So I'll keep everyone updated on the progress of this project. Might also try planting the dwarf Orinoco in the ground this year as well, once it gets a little warmer in the nights. It may be okay for this Basjoo to be grown outside at the moment, but I don't want to risk it with being quite small like this. It might still be a little bit too cold and damage the leaves at night. So I just want to wait until it gets a bit bigger and also the night temperatures warm up a little bit more. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, then please don't forget to leave a like on the video. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe if you want to be updated with any more of the videos I make in the future. And I'll see you in the next one.